I usually try to avoid to discuss chakras without a proper context, because there are so many different books, courses and opinions in the Western world that are making from chakras something which is not really true. You can think about chakras in different ways, and there is not just one concept or one model of the chakras existing in the world. If you start thinking about the existence of every human being, of not just the human beings but the life as a whole, you can see it in three different layers. The first layer is a physical existence, something we can feel, we can touch, we can taste with our senses and make sense of it with our brain. Then there is something we call in yoga and Eastern traditions an astral body or astral layer of the existence. And what does it mean in the modern scientific language? It would be energy, vibration and frequency. And the very top layer of the existence is a pure consciousness. In yogic tradition it's called causal body or causal existence, and that means this is what we usually call the absolute, the God or the universe or the undifferentiated consciousness. Now you can think about chakras in context of all these different layers of the existence. On the very grossest level, chakras could be connected to our nervous system, and on the subtlest level, subtlest possible level, they are connected to structures of consciousness, and not just consciousness of us as humans, but the whole existence of the whole nature, and also the consciousness which was defined by Carl Gustav Jung as the collective unconscious. So if you try to explain chakras on the most gross level, you can talk about solar plexus, about a nervous plexuses. One of them is solar plexus, obviously, but we have so many plexuses, nervous connections in our body, and these are on the grossest level also represented by chakras. Or you can talk about chakras in context of energy. And you know, there are many different ways how you can perceive and how you can talk about energy. Energy could be magnetic energy, nervous energy. It could be seen as colors or vibration or kind of frequency, and all these are also closely connected to chakra system. And the subtlest level of all is consciousness. You can talk about chakras as different levels of consciousness, especially if we see it as a part of our subtle body, and the lowest possible consciousness is Muladhara. It's our basic consciousness level, which is more connected to an animal world than really the humanity, because they are connected mainly to our basic instincts and to our limbic system and our sense of survival. So therefore it is connected to fears. And higher you go in the development of the structures of consciousness, higher you are getting in that structures of chakras or padmas, as we call them in tantric system. So the enlightenment basically means that you are expanding your awareness you are seeing more from the reality, like you are climbing the ladder up and up, and you have a higher and better overview of the whole existence, of the whole world. And this is basically that you are using the light of your consciousness and expanding it to what was previously unconscious. And chakras, they represent all these different levels of existence, and you can connect them to your physical body. You can connect them to how you perceive the world through your mind and through your psychology. So you can feel them as emotions or as different ways you behave and you react on things. And more conscious you are, more you have different aspects of that animal behavior under control, the higher you are getting in the structures of consciousness or chakras or padmas. You can see them as useful concepts or models of reality that helps us to understand the subtler layers that are not visible through our senses and through our brain. You can, through expansion of awareness, get to these subtler levels through some inner sense. You can feel them, you can experience them, usually then talk about it as a mystical or spiritual experience that we can have. But this is not something you can perceive through your normal brain activity and through the senses, which are in this context not the tools that allow you to understand the world, but these are filters of reality, because our senses are informing you about our environment only in case that it's helpful for our survival. So basically we see maybe 1/50,000th of the reality how it is. We don't see the whole reality. We wouldn't be able to work with that, to understand it, because it would be so overwhelming for our system, for our mind, for our thinking brain, and for our senses, that it would shut us down. And the only thing how we can perceive more from the reality is through expansion of awareness, and sometimes it's called awakening of Kundalini or psycho-spiritual energy expansion, and it has many names. And chakra system is something that helps us to somehow grasp and understand something which is deeper, which is subtler, and which is not possible to perceive through our normal way of thinking and perceiving the world and existence as a whole. And even within the yoga tradition, there are many such models. There is not only one model of chakras, that there are 6 or 7, there could be 9. And in reality there are like 114 chakras in our body, in our system, but we are used to specific traditions and specific explanations, models of the chakra system that was closest to our thinking. Therefore some of them get a major understanding and advertisement in the Western world, but these are not the only ones that we can work with. So it's more useful to think about chakras as a structures of consciousness or the levels which we can use to understand the world than just energy vortexes or psychological makeup or our emotions and how we relate to the world. This is much useful for the inner work and for understanding it rationally. Hopefully I will be able to give you more information about that, and I will create kind of a series about different structures of consciousness, or layers, or chakras, or padmas, further in this YouTube channel. So please hit that button to follow so you don't miss any information. Peace.